Last week on When the Beat Drops,
he basically said, if Kim had dated me when I first wanted, there wouldn't be no Amber Rose. When I first heard that, I said, ooh, like really that was my real reaction. Like I'm not even like playing for the camera. I was like, oh. It is your girl Jade Ashley, and I want to welcome you back to a new video of When the Beat Drops. And like always, you know I'm here to give you my 5 hottest beats of this week, so stay tuned for more. Okay guys, so wait, hold on, I get this here, I'm sorry. Besides, I need y'all to see my Godfather Biggie anyway, so we'll just keep the hair back this video. So let's dive into this week's beats. So for the first beat of this week, I want to do a recap of the 2015 BET Honors, which aired this past Tuesday, I believe, or was it Monday? It was Monday that it aired on BET. So I just want to, you know, read some of my notes from the show and what I thought about the show as I was watching it. So the first thing I do want to talk about on the BET Honors is Ne-Yo. Ne-Yo, I don't know if you guys know, I told you about my musical family, and Ne-Yo happens to be my uncle within our musical family. So he had a performance. I'm not exactly sure what song he was singing, and I was actually trying to look it up, but I could not find it. So if anybody actually knows the song he was singing at the BET Honors, be sure to comment below and let me know. But what I did say about his performance was that his, performance was giving me like a So Sick. You know, if y'all remember the video was So Sick, it had like the, ice mountain caps and stuff or whatever, and then like the scenery behind him while he was performing was like the mountains and stuff. So I felt like he should have been singing So Sick because that's the kind of vibe I was getting from him. But moving on from Ne-Yo, I then want to talk about Charlie Wilson. Yes, I love Charlie Wilson. When I tell you this, he has a golden voice is what I said on Twitter. Like he has a golden voice. It's like no matter how old he gets, like his the pitch, the tone, like he's just amazing. So he came out singing Bound To. Y'all know Kanye, because Kanye was actually awarded at this year's BET Honors. So that he came out singing Bound To, and then he went off to singing some of his songs and stuff or whatever, and then he briefly brought Kanye on stage and he was like, yeah, rap something. So Kanye, he didn't have like a rap, but he was like hyping up the audience and stuff or whatever. And I just said his voice continues to just be amazing. Like shout out to Charlie Wilson. Like he's dead about to be one of my uncles next to Ne-Yo. I'm so serious. Like he's amazing. But moving on from Charlie Wilson, we have to move on to my best friend K.Michelle. I felt like I have not talked about her in so long, and I miss talking about her, but she did an amazing job. When I told you she did an amazing job, like she sung her song Judge Me off of her album Anybody Wanna Buy a Heart. That's actually track #1. And when I told you she sung the hell, like she sung her throat off. And not to mention she had this long beautiful gown with this train that like covered like the entire stage. And I don't know if you guys know, but for the most part she's like styled by like Emily B. So I think Emily did an amazing job with getting that dress for K.Michelle. She looked amazing, she sounded amazing, and I can't wait for the second half of her My Twisted Mind tour, because she needs to come to New York City because I need to be there. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to stick to the BET Honors. So moving on from K.Michelle's performance, Kanye finally received his Visionary Award, and he was presented the award by Damon Dash. And you guys know that him and Damon Dash go way back, because when Kanye first was signed, he was signed to Rockefeller, Damon Dash, Rockefeller, but then eventually everything started falling apart, and then their relationship started falling apart. But it seems like now, I wouldn't say that they're like back where they were at, but you can kind of see pieces by pieces they're kind of rebuilding. And he kind of touched on his relationship with Damon in like last week's interview with like the Breakfast Club and stuff or whatever. But in Damon's speech, he kind of talked about how Kanye, like you could tell he didn't read like from the teleprompter or anything. Like he spoke from his heart, and he talked about how Kanye had like courage, and we all know Kanye has courage. So like I thought it was a nice speech that he gave about Kanye. And then Kanye, I was looking at his face like throughout the entire show, because of course he had Kim next to him, so they was gonna put the camera on both of them. like throughout the entire show. So, but he just looked so happy. And I was saying in last week's video, I felt like, you know, he was in a better place. He seemed happy. His music, which I'm excited. I'm just excited for more new Kanye music. I have to tell you guys, like, check out my blog, www.jade-ashley94.blogspot.com. I recently did a Kanye post yesterday, so make sure you check that out. But he did an amazing job. And aside from him looking happy, his acceptance speech had I kind of had to listen to it over and over again to kind of like get the gist of it. But his acceptance speech was more of, you know, talking about how we're not free, but I think at the same time he was saying something how we're like in control of like being free, and how us being creative will create free. It was, you know, I'll be sure to try to find the acceptance speech and I'll link it below so you guys can kind of watch it for yourselves, and maybe you interpret something that I didn't interpret out of it. But nonetheless, I was happy that he was able to receive the Visionary Award. He was very much deserving of that, because we know Kanye dibbles and dabbles in everything and succeeds in just about everything. So yeah. So moving on from that, Usher was another artist who was honored that night for the Performing Arts Award. And I felt like they do like a little video montage and stuff or whatever before, you know, the honoree comes up and accepts his award. And just watching the montage, it kind of reiterated to me just how much of an amazing artist Usher was. Not that I ever doubted that he was an amazing artist, but yo, like, he's been doing this like basically like my entire life, maybe a few years before, because I was born in 1994. But I mean, like, Usher, like, to this day, like, he's still dancing his ass off. He's still singing. His vocals are still on point. It's like, yo, he's just like amazing. Like, and he survived like generations to still be hot to this day. So like that video montage before he accepted his award just kind of, you know, made me realize like Usher, like, he's everything to this generation. And aside from that, Trey Songz, he came out to honor Usher by singing Nice and Slow. Now, I don't feel like, obviously it wasn't like a Usher version, it was Trey Songz made it his own, but I felt like he would not be able to outdo Usher in Nice and Slow. Like, he would not. And one thing that I liked about Usher receiving his award was Bobby Brown presented him with his award, because in the video montage Usher said like he was a big New Edition fan, and it was Bobby Brown that, you know, watching him, he was like, you know what, I want to be a performer. So I thought it was really cool, you know, to have Bobby come out and stuff or whatever to present him his award. I thought that was like really sweet. I love that part. And aside from that, the last performance of the night was Mary J. Is Mary in my family? She needs to be. We're gonna find a spot for her in my family, my music family. But I mean, MJB, you should already know she's gonna kill it. So yeah, but she looked amazing as well in her gown. And I think that the BET Honors overall was just like an amazing show. It's one of those award shows that, you know, brings, not that there's award shows that like bring negativity, but you know, they focus on the positivity, especially within the African American community. So I'm sure they'll play the BET Honors like 20 more times within the next couple of months. Y'all know how BET is with the rerun. So yeah. So moving on to our second beat of the week, I want to talk about Fan of a Fan, the album. If you guys remember, at the end of last week's video, I sat here and reminded you guys that Chris Brown and Tyga's new album, Fan of a Fan, was coming out this past week, the 24th, which was this past Tuesday. And of course, you guys know I got it. I already told y'all like before, I'm not gonna, you know, continue to tell you guys about an album if I wasn't gonna buy it for myself. So I am going to do a little album review for Fan of a Fan. So before I even get into like the whole Fan of a Fan situation, it was also revealed this week that Chris Brown has to cancel his Canadian tour dates for Behind the Sheets tour because they won't let him in. And I don't know if this is true. I doubt this is true, but a lot of people are saying because him and Tyga are like, you know, beefing with Drake right now, Drake basically stopped them from entering Canada. I don't know if that's true, but let's move on to the album review. So I think automatically that when we, or for me, every time that I've mentioned Fan of a Fan, the album, I've always referred to the mixtape that came out in 2010, and I'll just say it again, it's one of the best mixtapes ever. So for me, automatically, when purchasing the album, the first thing I thought was, I'm going to compare this album to the mixtape. So I started thinking about songs from the mixtape and then trying to figure out, well, which song on this album matches, you know, like this song can be, you know, somewhat similar to this song from, you know, try to match the songs from the mixtape and the album to see what it was. But I will say that if you did not buy the album yet and you are going to buy the album and you're familiar with the mixtape, do not compare them whatsoever. And I would say not to compare them because when you really think about the circumstances under which Tyga and Chris Brown were at different times, they're not going to reflect it. If we go back to 2010, Tyga had, from our understanding so much, didn't have too much issues with Young Money at the time. He didn't have baby mama drama. He didn't have people badgering talking about him being with somebody that's under 18. Chris Brown at the time, he was just getting back into people's good graces because, you know, back in 2009, the year before, it was like that whole Rihanna situation with the Grammys and everything. So, you know, him getting back into people's good graces musically was through him releasing mixtapes and stuff. So we was just like falling back in love with Chris Brown, and the only thing he had on his record at the time was, you know, the Rihanna situation, and that was it. And then, you know, fast forward all the way to 2015, it is so much stuff that they went through as individuals. We all know Chris Brown with his, you know, drug use, jail, rehab, him and Karrueche, him getting back with Rihanna and leaving Karrueche only for him and Rihanna to break up again, and then he gets back with Karrueche. Like, he's just been through so much since 2010. And like I said, you know, this is Tyga before the whole Last King branding, before the whole issues with Young Money, before even getting, she's not a stripper no more. So before having, you know, Black China as like his baby moms and stuff or whatever. So it's like he's like a dad now. So it's like so much, you know, difference between the two. So do not compare the album and the mixtape. But moving on to the mixtape, I do want to talk about, usually, you know, I don't talk about the entire album or whatever, but I do want to talk about some of the songs on the album. And the first song on the album is a song entitled West Side. So I think that it was very appropriate for them to put West Side as the first title of the album, because then that just basically let me know that majority of this music is going to sound West Coast-ish. It's going to have like that West Coast sound to it. And I mean, Chris is from Virginia, but he's like in LA all the time, and you know, Tyga is from LA. He's like from Compton or something like that. So yeah, so I guess you can call this somewhat of like a West Coast-ish sounding type of album. But that was the first one. And then the second song after that is Nothing Like Me featuring Ty Dolla $ign. I don't really think too much of that song as of right now. I mean, maybe somewhere down the line as I get more and more familiar with the album, but for right now I don't think too much of it. And then of course we know their leading single for the album, Ayo. That's the song. Told y'all that was the beat of the week, like the first week it came out or whatever, or song of the week. But yeah, so then I will say that this is a good album for the freaks. Now I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I will say that, you know, the freaks, they'll enjoy this album because we have songs like Girl You Loud, Remind Me, Lights Out, She Going Up, songs like that. That's for the freaks and stuff or whatever. But I actually like Remember Me. But my favorite song so far from the album is their song I Bet featuring 50 Cent. And it has like the West Coast sound and stuff or whatever, up tempo. And I think one of my favorite songs on the song is, so the clean version of it, Chris Brown, he says, your girl look like Shanae, no, your girl look like Shanae, oh my goodness, something like that. He said it like that. So it's like every time I listen to that song I have to say that part. But I mean, I like that song. And then followed by I Bet, we got DG I F U. So I don't get it effed up. Don't get it effed up basically. So because I don't think I have a bleeping you know, effect on here when I edit. But yeah, it's a song on there called Bitches and Marijuana and stuff or whatever. That's pretty cool. I don't have nothing to do with that, but I like the song and stuff. So I mean, I expected if I have to be honest, I expected to like the album more. Like I said, maybe the album will grow on me. I don't really, you know, gravitate to the album as quick as I did to the mixtape and stuff, because I think I kind of purchased the album with the wrong mentality. So I kind of purchased it with the thoughts of, okay, I'm going to compare this album to the mixtape. And you know, from the mixtape, I'll sit here and I'll tell you, Make Love, #1, Ain't Think About You was originally on Fan of a Fan. You know, we got Deuces, which is Grammy nominated. Like, it's just like that mixtape, which is like everything. So I had like very high hopes for this album and was very much, you know, willing to compare it to the mixtape. So I mean, the album is cool. I don't think they had like a lot of units projected for like their first week, but we'll see how much units they actually sold. But I mean, if you guys are interested in purchasing the Fan of a Fan album, be sure you cop it. You know, because there's some good songs on there, and we never know, like, it can, like, some of the tracks on it can definitely grow bigger. So yeah, so moving on to our third beat of this week, we have another album review. So yeah, so aside from me reminding you guys last week to buy the Fan of a Fan album, I also told you guys to buy Big Sean's new album, Dark Sky Paradise. Now I love this freaking album, yo. I love it, I love it, I love it. And I think the only songs we knew about the album before it like released was, of course, I Don't With You little right. So that song, and then a couple of weeks ago, probably like maybe 2-3 weeks ago or something like that, he released Blessings featuring, I think Drake is on there, Kanye's on there, it's a couple of people on there, but no, I think it's just Drake. Okay, whatever, cool. But yeah, I absolutely love this freaking album, yo. Like, I felt like this was a personal album, and also, you know, Big Sean, he was like on the Breakfast Club this week, so you know, I'll be sure to put the, you know, interview here somewhere, and you guys know that I will link it below so you can check it out. But he, you know, talks about the album, and I feel like this album is very much personal, and it touches on, you know, personal, you know, experiences from his life, especially within the last couple of years, and especially, you know, things that we've seen, you know, because he is a public figure. But okay, so I mentioned the song Blessings and stuff or whatever, and then, you know, you have the song All Your Fault featuring Kanye West, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with that by now, especially because of Kanye's line where he said something, if you leave Mickey, you gonna end up with Goofy. That's what I believe, or that's what I thought Chris said to Karuchi. However he said that, y'all know the line. So you know that song right there. But I think if my favorite, oh my gosh, when I tell y'all I love this song so much, I've listened to the song non-stop since the album came out, it's Play No Games featuring Chris Brown and Ty Dolla Sign. Yeah. I love that song so much. Like, that song is just so dope. Like, I just love it. I don't know how else to describe it. I love it. That's like my favorite song. Like, before I was even getting ready to record, I was listening to that song like full blast. Like, I love that song. That song is dope. And then aside from that, he has a song, The Paradise extended version. I like that as well. You win some, you lose some. It doesn't make it right. You win some, lose some. That's another song that I like on the album. And with that song, I feel like that song is kind of personal as well, because he kind of talks about like what a lot of artists have been talking about on their new albums lately is somewhat like the price of fame and stuff or whatever. And you know how he got to provide for his family, and the same people that he just named that he had to provide for, he don't spend that much time with. He kind of, you know, somewhat touches on his failed relationship with Naya Rivera. Like, it's just a lot that he talks about with the life that he has now, how you got some gains and you have some losses and stuff or whatever. But I love that song. And aside from Win Some Lose Some, he has a song called I Know featuring Janae Aiko. I know you've been. I love that song as well. He has a song called Deep featuring Little Wayne. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Little Wayne. And then another song that I absolutely love, that I feel like is definitely one of the best songs on the album, is One Man Can Change the World featuring Kanye West and John Legend. And I know that song was definitely personal for him, and he also said in his interview because, you know, he kind of talks about his grandmother, like his grandmother passed away not too long ago. And I think what the sweetest part of that song was, the song ended with you know, audio of him calling his grandmother and, you know, saying, you know, you hear him talking to his grandmoms. He's like, I love you. She's like, I love you too, and stuff or whatever. So I was like, oh, that song was like so sweet. And me, I have the deluxe album. So as far as like extra songs go, one of my favorite songs out of the extras is his song Research, featuring, you know, Ariana Grande. These hoes be doing research, like I love that song. So if I had to compare the two, I definitely love Dark Sky Paradise way better than I love Fan of a Fan. So y'all have to cop that album for sure. Like, I love that album, is dope. Like, and I think his numbers were supposed to be like way better compared to Fan of a Fan. So make sure y'all get that Big Sean album because it's bananas. Like, I love it. So moving on our fourth beat of this week, we have to talk about Bobby Shmurda. We have not really talked about Bobby Shmurda since like my Christmas video. And, you know, that's when the whole GS9 bust happened at K.O.D Studios and stuff. So I think this is like our first time like physically like hearing Bobby Shmurda's voice and stuff or whatever, as he called into Hot 97 this week. And this has to be probably the shortest radio interview in the history of radio interviews. So he calls up Ebro in the morning, and of course I'll put the shortest interview in radio ever link below. And he basically, they kind of asked him like, how's he doing and stuff. He said he's fine and everything, and he's basically been saying how he is in protective care right now. And since he's been locked up, he's been him and Rowdy Rebel have been like together, but they recently put Rowdy Rebel in a hole because they were having issues. Whatever go down in jail, y'all know. Well, I can't say y'all know because I don't know, but they had issues, or whatever, and Rowdy Rebel was like put in a hole. So then they asked him like, okay, so can you kind of take us back to the day that I got arrested and let me know what happened and stuff or whatever. And basically he started, telling what happened and how they said, like all the charges that they had, it was like all these guns and stuff that they claimed that they found within the studio with them. He said that was a lie. That was not theirs. He was saying how like NYPD has been after them for the longest, trying to lock them up for the longest. So they just bust in the studio and then interview cut off. Like, he was mid-sentence and the phone cut off. So basically, obviously the feds was monitoring the call because he is in jail, and I guess he was getting into the details as far as like what happened the day that they got arrested, and they cut the phone off. And then Ebro, he was hoping that it was going to be like a malfunction, but unfortunately it wasn't. They cut the phone off. They was like, you're not about to talk about this on the radio and have millions of people listening. So they shut that shit down. They was like, it's a wrap. But Ebro, he kind of went in and he said that he knows a couple of people that work at K.O.D Studios and stuff, and he was saying how the police, when they came in that day, they were saying how they can't believe that they're supporting this music and stuff. And before like the phone cut off on Bobby said how the cops were saying how they don't want their kids listening to his music. Like, I don't know, like, man, like, it's really honestly not looking too good for them whatsoever. I know that one time I heard something with Epic Records putting up the $2 million bill that was out for him, but he ain't out. I don't know what's going on with NYPD. Hashtag pray for Bobby Shmurda. Hashtag, pray for GS9. Like, it looks like it's over for them right now. I don't want to be negative about the situation and I don't want to call it quits, but I mean, ain't no light in the situation as of right now. We in, basically, this is like the last couple of days of February. We're going to be in March. They were locked up back in December. It's just crazy. So, yeah. Moving on to our last topic of this week, I have to talk about, I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited. Okay, and I just read this too. So you guys know that I am always on the blogs, and I'm always like social media and stuff or whatever, because if I'm not, how would I come up with beats for this show? So I was recently on theybf.com, and they reported a story about there being a possible biopic of New Edition, and I was like, yes! I was so excited. And before I even get into like the details of it, I just have to say this, because when I tell people this, they think I'm so crazy. But I always said that sometimes I wished I was born years before 1994. I wish that I was born a male and not a female, only so I can be one of the original members of New Edition. New Edition is like the greatest group of all time, like one of the greatest groups of all time, only for the simple fact that to this day you can go to New Edition and you can see every single member on stage together. The fact that they're still cool, they're still down throughout like all the struggles that they had, like they just dope. Like some of them is like grandfathers now, but it's all good. It's all good. But I'm excited because there is a, let me get up the information right now so I can tell y'all exactly. So there is a independent filmmaker by the name of Bobby Huntley and a producer by the name of Nikki Wade, and they are looking to actually do the NE Heartbreak, the movement biopic about New Edition. And what they've done so far is they've actually put together a trailer as far as how they would like shoot the movie and stuff or whatever. And the more social media coverage that they get, they will likely be able to get the funding to actually do this movie and have the movie on the big screen. And I feel like that biopic is definitely something that is very much necessary. And the fact that every last one of them are still here, I know like Bobby's going through a lot right now with the whole Bobby Christina. Not to say that this should happen tomorrow and stuff, because obviously this biopic would take some time to make, but especially if it's going to be on the big screen, it will take some time to make. But there is a preview, and the preview's on Vimeo, and I tried to like download it because you guys know how to like the videos and stuff or whatever in the back while I'm talking, but I couldn't download it whatsoever, so you guys can like get a clue of what I'm talking about. So what I'll do is I'll actually put the preview from Vimeo below. But I'm absolutely excited about this, and I felt like the preview was just great, and it just got me excited, and I'm like, no, we need this New Edition New Edition biopic. And I don't know exactly if they're involved or if they're even aware of this independent filmmaker trying to make a biopic about them. Sorry, damn, I just keep messing up today. Make a biopic about them, but he did mention that he is a very huge New Edition fan. So I will just leave the link below. You guys can check it out. You can share it and stuff or whatever. And if you feel that there definitely needs to be a New Edition biopic like I do, I would just say spread the word, because we need to make it happen. Because I know if it happens day one, I'm in that movie theater, like seriously, dead ass, because I love New Edition. Like, I busted out his song. I was late to class the other day because New Edition came on Pandora. Can You Stay in the Rain? My favorite New Edition song ever. And I refused to leave until the song was over. Like, I really love them. So, yeah. Those are my 5 hot beats of this week. Okay guys, so I have to end this video like I end every other video by letting you guys know to comment on my videos, like my videos, subscribe to my channel, and share my videos with others. And I have no notes for this week, but I do want to send a big congratulations to Common and John Legend for winning an Oscar last week Sunday for the Best Original Song for Glory, which was in the movie Selma. And I also have to give you guys my song of the week, and I should have said it sometime within this video, but if I did not, I have to tell you that my song of the week is No Games by Big Sean featuring Chris Brown and Ty Dolla $ign. I said it right this time. When I told y'all I really listened to that song like every day since the album came out, I was serious about it and absolutely love it. So I'll say it once again, make sure you pick up Big Sean's new album, Dark Sky Paradise, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!